When the men left for the trenches, the bread still needed baking. What remained were the children, sharp-eyed and quietly capable, who inherited a world of absence and rationing. This episode steps into that world, the kitchen gardens, hedgerow lanes, and smoky hearths where children as young as 7 were foraging, baking, and bartering to keep families alive. Their techniques were born of necessity. The lessons belong to every bushcraft learner alive today. The ration reality. Understanding true scarcity. By 1917, German U-boats were sinking 1 in 4 ships bound for Britain. Sugar was cut to a fraction of its peacetime allowance. Butter was a smear, not a measure. For rural families, this was a total restructuring of daily life. Yet rural children fared better than their urban counterparts because they were closer to the land. A child who could identify edible plants, work a garden, and stretch a handful of oats into a meal was not merely a helper, they were essential. Dig for victory. The children's garden. Flower beds were ripped up, verges were broken with spades. Children tended rows as seriously as any adult, learning soil and seasons in a way no classroom could teach. Carrots became the wartime hero, hardy, productive, sweet enough to substitute for rationed sugar. Children grated them into batters, boiled them into jams, folded them into puddings. The carrot was not a poor substitute. It was a genuine solution, passed from kitchen to kitchen the way all true fieldcraft travels, by hand and example. The art of the eggless kitchen, wartime baking science. Children discovered that vinegar combined with bicarbonate of soda produced the same lift eggs once gave, a reaction modern vegan bakers have only recently rediscovered. Lard made flakier pastry. Black treacle sweetened a whole loaf with far less volume than refined sugar. These were not recipes from cookery books. They were field-tested solutions, refined through failure and shared through community. Every baking session was applied chemistry, run by children who had no choice but to get it right. Foraging the hedgerows. Wild harvest under wartime skies. When the garden fell short, the hedgerows called. Blackberries became jam, hazelnuts were stored, nettles and wild garlic became greens. Children moved through the countryside with real fieldcraft precision, knowing which plants fruited when, which could be eaten raw, where the best stands grew. This knowledge was seasonal, spatial, and deeply embodied. It lived in their hands. It's the kind of knowledge that honestly cannot be downloaded. It has to be walked into existence. Hidden treasures. The psychology of the secret ingredient. Families tucked surprises into steamed puddings, a wrapped coin, a dried berry, a charm. In a world stripped of most pleasures, that hidden treasure transformed eating from sustenance into an event. Modern survival psychology calls this morale management. Soldiers in the trenches understood it too. Small rituals around mealtimes, a favorite battered mug, songs on quiet nights. Rural children without any training were practicing the same art, building meaning into the mundane, sustaining the will to keep going. Water, warmth, and the makeshift hearth. Coal deliveries became unreliable, so children became fuel gatherers, identifying dry wood, splitting kindling, managing fires steady enough to bake without a controlled oven. Water required equal discipline. Quality was not guaranteed, and boiling was standard practice. The kitchen was not separate from the field. It was an extension of it. The same skills that made a good forager made a good baker: patience, attention to conditions, and the ability to adapt when the environment pushed back. the trench kitchen, where soldiers learned the same lessons. At the front, soldiers improvised from whatever they could scavenge. Tin cans became billy pots, ammunition crates became windbreaks, stones concentrated heat, shallow depressions sheltered flames. Fires burned small to avoid drawing enemy attention. On quiet nights, a man might brew tea in a dugout and feel, briefly, human again. These are bushcraft principles as old as fire, rediscovered in shell craters by men who had never heard the word, but who lived it every day. What the rubble teaches us. The child who baked a carrot pudding from a depleted pantry was not performing history. They were solving a real problem with real resources in real time. The vinegar and bicarbonate trick underpins emergency baking today. The foraging routes they walked are still walkable, the plants still edible, the seasons still reliable. The knowledge did not expire. It only became unfashionable. Every episode of Fieldcraft Chronicles pulls wisdom back from the edge of forgetting and places it in your hands where it belongs. The most powerful survival tool you will ever own is the breadth of what you know. If this episode added something real to your understanding of history, fieldcraft, and human resilience, share it. Share it with the history lover who thinks survival skills are only for the future. Share it with the bushcraft learner who doesn't yet know how much the past has to teach them.